Good morning. I would like to welcome everyone to the regular public meeting of the Henry County Board of Commissioners for 9 a.m. Tuesday, November 2nd, 2010. At this time, I would like to call the meeting to order and ask for an acceptance of the agenda.
So moved, Madam Chair.
Have a motion by Mr. Stamey.
Second
by Mr. Roark. All in favor? Motion carries 5-0. The first item on the agenda this morning is a proclamation for Retired Educators Day. And I'm going to read the proclamation, and then we have a number of people here that are going to be receiving this in honor of this day. Whereas the governor of the state of Georgia has proclaimed the day of Sunday, November 7th, 2010 as Retired Educators Day in Georgia, and whereas in Georgia alone, more than 82,000 retired educators dedicated their careers to inspiring young people to reach their full potential, and whereas more than 20,000 are members of the Georgia Retired Educators Association, and these retired teachers regularly donate thousands of hours of volunteer service each year and make invaluable contributions to the welfare of their respective communities across the state, and whereas it is appropriate that a day be designated for citizens to express their appreciation for the lasting contribution that retired educators have made and continue to make for the betterment of our own community and for society as a whole. Now, therefore, be it proclaimed by the Henry County Board of Commissioners that the day of November 7, 2010 shall be Retired Educators Day in Henry County, during which we encourage all citizens to honor those who have dedicated their lives to the education of our youth this second day of November 2010. And we have, as I said, a number of retired educators here with us today, and I'd like to call their names, and I don't know if you guys have collectively selected someone who might want to share some comments, but we have with us Dr. Joan Jordan, Dr. Gordon Baker, Elaine Childs, Dr. Marinelle Simpson, Harry Werner, Marilyn Werner, Lois Keith, Mary Baker, Emily Kinsey, Emma Nettles, Ann Jones, Carol Dotson, Karen Schneid, and Barbara Calhoun. And if y'all would please come forward, and as I said, if you would like to make some comments, Dr. Baker or someone with you, we'd certainly love to hear from you. And Mr. Holder, I believe you had some comments you would like to share.
Madam Chair, I would. As they're headed forward at the podium. Madam Chair, I've had the privilege and honor to serve with some of these people here today in many years past in the Board of Education. And so many times we don't realize the importance that our teachers have in our society. When you think about the people that are standing here today and think about how many young lives they have had contact with and have formed people into, I promise you, better people than they would have been without their influence. I just think that many times teachers go unnoticed. And these are retired teachers that are still offering their service through volunteer, through involvement into the schools, giving schools things that they would not have, that the taxpayers would normally fund. I don't think many of us realize what retired teachers actually do, but I know I've had a relationship with several of these people, a working relationship that I won't forget. And as old as I was at the time, they have been instrumental in teaching me a few things too, believe it or not. So I just want to say thank you, and I do appreciate the service that you've given to the county and to the young people in our community, and that you're continuing to give. Thank you.
And would you like to share some comments?
Yes. My name is Joan Jordan, and I'm president of the Henry County Retired Educators Association. And on behalf of our over 400 members here in the county, we want to thank you for taking this opportunity to proclaim Retired Educators Day in Henry County. We are appreciative of everything that our elected officials do to help us with our public schools in this county and to make them the best that they can be. And we honor our responsibility by continuing our service. And I appreciate all our members being here today, and we thank you for doing this with us and for us. Thank you.
Thank you. Did anyone else like to make a comment? If not, if y'all join us over here, we'd like to present the proclamation.
Hey, you never told me a bad one.
All right, we're going to move on now in the agenda to finance. The first item is a resolution requesting approval to amend the 1996 and 2002 Splost fund budgets. Our presenter is Mike Bush, Finance Director, Exhibit Number 1. Good morning.
Madam Chair and Board. From time to time, Henry County Splost Department brings budget amendments back to the Board where they're moving money from one finished project to another finished project. But there's also projects that really never get money moved away from them once they get finished. And so we have to come up here, once a year, once every other year, or whatever, and try to clean up these accounts that have no activity in them. And in Splost 1, we only have 3 accounts that have had any activity in the past year, and we are trying to make all those accounts balance to zero on the budget. Some of them have 16 cents, some of them have 87 cents. We're just trying to clean all that up. And then we're going to transfer any of those balances on those 3 accounts over to Splost 2 and Splost 3 and close the 1996 Splost fund, or the checking account on that fund. And in the Splost 2, we're doing the exact same thing. There's a lot of accounts. There's 132 different accounts in Splost 2, and we're just trying to clean up all the ones that haven't had any activity and take the 18 accounts that do have activity and make sure all those are accounted for correctly. And like I said, we're moving some of the Splost 1 money into Splost 2. There's one project that is not in Splost 2. It's in Splost 3, and we're moving $39,000 to Splost 3 in that particular case. I'll take any questions if any are needed. I know we talked about it yesterday. And
does any board member have a question or comment pertaining to this item? All right. If not, before I ask for a motion, I wanted to make just a couple of comments about the Splost program, because I know we had discussed the fact that we had to reduce our Splost 3 down because of the collections. Of course, that's all tied to the economy. There was an item in Splost 2 that called for senior centers, or center and in parentheses at S centers. And we know that we've been able to complete all of those except the one in Hampton. And because of budget constraints, that, not only related to the building of the facility itself, but also staffing that has had to be put on hold. And what I'd ask the board to consider on that is that in the interim, is that we look at a design for that facility, even if you can't go forward with it at this time, to at least get the design underway. The other item related to Splost 3, we had Performing Arts Center, and that got bumped down to a Tier 2 project. Again, I think we allocated $7 million for that particular project. That's nowhere near what it's going to cost to build a Performing Arts Center, but I think it might be good that if we could possibly look at doing a feasibility study to actually determine what size facility we're going to need in the future. If we could at least get that preliminary work done, then we can work toward eventually having a really nice performing arts center in the community. So that was just a couple of comments I wanted to make related to Splost, to see if we can get staff and the board to really start thinking along those lines. Planning's always good. You may not be able to implement now, but planning is always a good thing to do in advance. If there are no further comments or questions, I will entertain a motion on the resolution before you. I have a motion to approve by Mr. Bowman. Is there a second? Second by Mr. Roark. All in favor? Motion carries 5-0. I think everybody's still asleep this morning. The next item on the agenda is a resolution requesting award of a bid for financial banking services for the Henry County Finance Department, and that's going to be Exhibit number 2.
Okay, we issued an RFP for banking services, and we had 6 financial institutions answer that RFP, and then we set up a team of people from the finance department, the county manager's office, our technology services, with banking being so technologically advanced now, to score these RFPs on 11 different criteria. And at the end of the day, SunTrust Bank scored the highest, 357 out of 400, and the second highest was 317.75, which is, it was Wachovia, now it's Wells Fargo. This is for a 3-year contract with 2 one-year extensions if that's necessary, but most of the time there's so many advances in the banking services that it is done every 3 years. 3 years ago we did this exact same thing and awarded to Wachovia, and again we had a 3-year with 2 one-year extensions if it was something that there wasn't anything new out there. But when everything new comes out there, we want to take advantage of that for the taxpayers, and so we go out there and do these RFPs and get better bids than what we currently have. So we're sitting here today hoping that you will agree with us and sign the contract for a 3-year contract for banking services with SunTrust Bank.
Does any board member have a question or comment about the recommendation? If not, you have a resolution before you awarding that to SunTrust Bank, and I'll entertain a motion. Motion by Mr. Stamey, second by Mr. Bowman. All in favor? Motion carries 4-0. Please make note that Mr. Basler has left the room. The next item on the agenda is a resolution requesting award of a bid for janitorial services, and that's going to be handout number 1.
Okay. The purchasing department sent out an RFP for cleaning services. We've been working for the past 1.5 years on those extension, 1-year extension type services, and we felt it was time to send out an RFP, get quotes in to see what we're missing or what good new things we can do. And one of the main criteria we were counting on was use of green products. We had, I believe it was 12 different vendors that sent in bids, and again we had a committee set up that scored these, and it's ICS was the best overall bidder. We had several ways to look at it, and what we did is we looked at one group coming in and cleaning the different buildings. In the past, we've had several different groups come in and clean, and that there were some problems and issues with that. Last year, we spent over $206,000 on cleaning services, and this contract with ICS will be for a little over $142,000. So it's quite a bit of savings for the buildings that we're currently cleaning. We also have the sheriff who's cleaning the courthouse for us, which is a much cheaper rate than what we were doing before. And again, we would like to award the bid to, this is a one-year contract with 4 one-year extensions. If the prices would stay the same, we will still go out and bid this again, but we don't want to sit out here with a 3-year contract and things like that, because this stuff could change more rapidly than it has in the past. So we would like to award the bid to ICS for 1 year.
Does any board member have a question or comment pertaining to this item? If not, you have before you a resolution awarding the bid to ICS, and I'll entertain a motion. Motion to approve by Mr. Roark, second by Mr. Holder. All in favor? Motion carries 5-0.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Mike, do you have those numbers? Were you giving them to us this morning?
I was going to give them to you back there. It's the.
That's fine.
Okay.
Okay.
Moving on to Splost, the first item is a resolution requesting award of a bid to construct Fire Station Number 9, and that's Exhibit Number 3. Our presenter is Mr. Ron Burkhalter, Capital Projects Director. Good morning.
Chairman, Commissioners, good morning. Bids were solicited to construct the new Henry County Fire Station Number 9 in Stockbridge. Fire Station Number 9 will be a replacement station for the existing station that's in Stockbridge right now. Fire Station Number 9 is a new 9,400 square foot 3-bay fire station, and it'll be located at Rock Quarry Road and Lee Street. 26 vendors submitted bids. Attached to the resolution, you'll see the bid tabs. Staff recommends award to the low bidder, the Potts Company of Conyers, in the amount of $1,203,500. That total bid amount is the base bid of $1,185,000, plus we chose alternate number 2, which was a $10,000 add for radiant heating versus forced air heating, and alternate number 3 is an $8,500 add for the abuse-resistant drywall that will be in the common areas and in the equipment areas. Funding for this is available in the Splost 3 Fire Station Number 9 project account. Also, last but not least here, I'd like to thank Chief Lacey and his staff in working very closely with us in the design of this and to make sure that we did bring this job in under budget. The total budget for this fire station is $1.5 million.
Does any board member have a question or comment? Mr. Bowman?
Yes, sir. Ron, I don't have that information, but what's the construction time? The
300 calendar days.
300 calendar days. So, and basically puts us about a year out, doesn't it? So it'd be good. Well, it's something that's well needed. I don't know how many have had the opportunity to go Fire Station Number 9 in the city of Stockbridge, but it is pretty sad building, isn't it? And they've been in that conditions for a good while now. So I'm real excited about this. It is a replacement station. We're not opening a new station. We're replacing that one. Stockbridge did work with us on the property. So it's kind of a joint between the city of Stockbridge and Henry County, and I'd like to thank them for helping us with that. The bidders look good. Everything else looked good on it. So I'm excited about it. It's going to be a nice station. It's going to be a 3-bay station. We'll be able to get have the ambulances and everything there. The only issue that's going to be, and I know I'm going to have some citizens contact me, but we're going to be right in the midst of our bridge construction, so it's going to be a little bit hectic there, and we may not be able to move them out of that. So we can build a station, but I don't know that we'll be able to move them until we get that bridge finished, because it would be pretty rough when they had right turn in, right out only because of the bridge. So there's something there that we need to talk about. While you're up here, when are we expecting to bid the bridge, or is that Rocky?
That's Rocky.
That's Rocky. And Rocky's not here, is he? Okay. Do you know, Butch, on that?
I can't give you an exact date there. No, all the design work is ongoing.
Okay. I appreciate it. Thanks for your good work, Ron. I think that's an excellent bid, and 26 bidders. That's excellent. Thank you, Madam Chair.
if not, Mr. Bowman, this lies in your district, and I'll entertain a motion.
I'd like to make a motion that we approve the project, Madam Chair.
Have a motion to approve. Is there a second? Second. Second by Mr. Basler. All in favor? Motion carries 5-0. The next item under Splost is a resolution requesting award of a bid to furnish and install engineered plank wood flooring at the Locust Grove Senior Center, and that's going to be handout number 2.
Sealed bids were solicited to furnish and install 4,100 square feet of engineered plank wood flooring at the Locust Grove Senior Center. Installation of this engineered plank wood flooring is part of the planned building modification that we're doing, converting the building over to a senior center. 7 bids were received and reviewed. Again, with the resolution, the bid tabulations are attached. Staff recommends awarding to the low bidder F&F floor, covering, and carpet of McDonough in the amount of $18,147.50. Funding for this is available in the Splost 3 Locust Grove Senior Center project account.
Any board member have a question or comment? Mr. Bowman?
I just got one. Ron, is that engineered flooring? Is that a laminate material?
It's more of a synthetic. It's not a laminated material, okay, even though the very top of it is a birch type finish that you're going to have on it. This particular flooring has a 25-year warranty on it, on the material itself.
Against 25 years against, for what? I mean, what's the warranty include?
The material itself.
Okay.
There's a 1-year warranty on the workman, the labor.
Is this the best material for that application? This is on the first floor, isn't it? Warren, is this the first floor? Is this the best material that
we had done some research on flooring, okay, of what's it's not the flooring that's similar to what's in the senior centers right now. It's a little bit better flooring. Flooring is like everything else, okay. It's just over time, the evolution, okay, it's getting to be better and better materials that they're making the wood flooring out of. But again, it will have a birch veneer that is on it, okay, right. But the rest of the flooring it's in
probably the material. Veneer, what, about 3/16 or so?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Would the this is on the first floor. Where's the kitchen going, Commissioner?
It's on the first.
On the first floor?
Yeah, this is the large meeting room on the which the kitchen and area will be next to it, and it's carpet in there at present. With eating and various activities on it, it's better to have the hardwood or hard floor. Let's put it that way. So that was the reasoning behind that.
It's just that in years past, and I don't have as much experience in engineered flooring as I should, but it's in years past that was not particularly a great floor to put on an activity area. But if you guys are comfortable with it, I am. I mean, I was just asking the questions because it brings up some, I've had issues with engineered flooring, especially in heavy areas, such as where senior citizens eating, some of the other things that go on. But that's all. I was just curious. I wanted to know a little bit more about it, and I appreciate it. Thank you.
Any other questions or comments? All right, if not, Mr. Holder, this lies in your district, and I'll entertain a motion.
To approve, Madam Chair.
Have a motion to approve, a second by Mr. Bowman. All in favor? Motion carries 5-0. Thank you. Moving on to social services, a resolution requesting approval of the First Amendment to the Aging Subgrant contract with the Atlanta Regional Commission for fiscal year 2010-11. Our presenter is Susan Craig, Senior Services Director, and that's exhibit number 4. Good morning.
Good morning. This is our First Amendment to our ARC contract for the year, and we're actually receiving an additional $12,960, which we will spread over all of our services. So I'm requesting board authorization to accept the funds.
Oh, I'm sorry.
That's okay.
Trying to move them along quickly here. Any questions or comments pertaining to this item? If not, you have a resolution before you accepting the First Amendment to the ARC contract, and I will entertain a motion. Motion to approve by Mr. Stamey. Second by Mr. Roark. All in favor? The motion carries 5-0. Thank you. The next item is a resolution requesting approval to accept the Georgia Department of Human Services contract for Community Services Block Grant funds, and that's going to be Exhibit number 5.
We were pleasantly surprised when we received our contract. Our allocation is actually $38,456 more than we had anticipated. Our allocation does total $117,687. We hope this will assist us in getting some of our clients off of the waiting list and also to supplement our food budget since food does continue to increase.
Does any board member have a question or comment pertaining to this item?
Question, Madam Chairman.
Mr. Holder?
Susan, this increase of $38,000, obviously it was based on an assessment of the need.
Right, the poverty level.
And there are more that would qualify today making the $38,000. Is that not correct?
Yes, sir. My understanding is that they use food stamps and also unemployment rates in a county to determine what your poverty level is.
Basically, how many seniors do you serve currently with in-home services and home-delivered meals?
Home-delivered meals, we're delivering about 400 a month to 400 clients, times 5 a week.
But that's 400 clients.
Right.
Okay.
Right. Our congregate setting is more than that within the centers, which we are able to supplement, and we only do a cost share based on income. Our in-home services are probably about 1,700 hours per month.
And how many recipients does that equate to?
Off the top of my head, I don't. It's 180 to 200.
Okay.
And we do have a waiting list, and it does increase, but we recently have had several to pass away.
But this will allow you to pick up more of those that are on the waiting list?
This would allow us to pick up maybe 3.
Okay.
It's very expensive, the
I
plate
understand.
cost.
Mr. Bowman?
First of all, I want to thank you for all that you do. My wife has a Meals on Wheels route, and I go with her on a number of occasions, and we've actually lost a couple of people on her route, which is it's tough. It's tough on the person delivering the meals because you get to know them pretty personal. But I tell you, the thing that's real heartwarming is that they're expecting it, and a lot of times they're waiting on the porch, and it gives you. I would and like to invite people to go on a route or do a route, or if they could, it helps. It really does, and it helps the person delivering as much as it does the one receiving, because it is a blessing, and they do a great job, and I appreciate what you do. And
thank you.
And I suppose because I got involved in it with her that I've seen it and got to know some ladies. I know I can't mention her name, but I got one lady on my route on my wife's route that's 98 years old and loves to talk about the Braves every time we go there, and gets around very well. So I mean, it is for you guys that hadn't tried it. You need to try it. Ride with somebody or go out on one. It's really fulfilling to do that.
It is.
Thank you.
Thank you. I've only had one dog to put me on the hood of a car, and we do have certain routes we don't ask volunteers to go on because of different conditions. And I had a dog actually run at me, and I was able to jump, and I'm not a little girl. I jumped in the middle of the hood of an Explorer, and I looked around, and this little 4-year-old walked up, and he said, "Lady, that dog doesn't have any teeth, so I don't know why you're training him." So, anyway, we appreciate your support, too. Thank you.
Well, Susan, I also want to mention a couple of things, too, to go along with this, because even though these funds are important, they're still not enough to meet the needs. And so each year you also have a walk to raise funds for the program, and is that the first Saturday in May?
It's the first Saturday in May each year, and we anticipate raising $70,000 each year. and that is our big fundraiser. Of course, Penny's is supporting us this year again, and they anticipate us receiving $20,000 from them. The Council on Aging also receives Roundup funds. We've just received an award from Central Georgia EMC and Snapping Shoals EMC, and different organizations around the county are supporting us. So we really appreciate it.
Well, the Huffing for Stuffing event, which is Thanksgiving Day, is a 5K and a 10K run this year and some other activities, so it's not too late to sign up. It's not too late to start getting in shape. And last year, I believe there were about 1,300 runners for their first event, and this year they're expecting probably about 3,000. And they have pledged the first $20,000 to Senior Services for the Meals on Wheels program.
They
So
have, and we appreciate that so much.
certainly a great event.
Thank you.
Well, you have, I don't believe I called for a motion on this one. You have before you the resolution approving the grant, and I will entertain a motion. Motion by Mr. Bowman, second by Mr. Holder. All in favor? Motion carries 5-0. Thank you, Susan. The next item is under Planning and Zoning Services. A.H.M. Bradford Jr. of Locust Grove, Georgia, requests an amendment to the ULDC in accordance with Sections 12.02.11 and 12.03.00. The request is to allow up to 3 employees in conjunction with a home occupation in an RA zoning district outside of a subdivision. Our presenter is Brecca Johnson, Planner 2, and that's Exhibit Number 6. Good morning.
Good morning, Chairman, Board of Commissioners, citizens. Yes, the applicant is requesting to allow up to 3 non-residents as in connection with the home occupation. Currently, our code only allows for home occupations to be limited to the residents of the dwelling to operate it. After, staff has looked at some other counties, looked at Clayton County, Spalding, DeKalb to kind of see what their requirements were for home occupations, staff had determined that it was more appropriate to allow up to 2 non-resident employees as part of a home occupation. And I can go ahead and read what the amended code would be should this request be approved according to staff's modification. A home occupation may employ up to 2 persons who work on the premises but who do not reside in the dwelling located on the premises, satisfying the following criteria. Number 1, must be located within the RA Residential Agricultural Zoning District outside of a subdivision and must adhere to all other applicable standards for home occupations set forth in sections 7.01.01, 7.01.02, 7.01.03, and 7.01.04. The Zoning Advisory Board denied the request outright. They denied the request for up to 3 employees who do not reside, as well as staff's recommendation for 2 employees. But a noteworthy discussion during the Zoning Advisory Board work session revealed that we need to amend another section for clarification. And I'll go ahead and put this on. And that's Section 7.01.02, Standards for All Home Occupations, letter B. And it would read, employees of the home occupation not meeting the requirements outlined in Section 7.01.01E shall be limited to the residents of the dwelling. At least 1 member residing on the premises must be the primary operator of the business. And if I may, the resolutions that you received in your packets, there was a slight typo. The only thing that would be removed is in paragraph 4. Which previously read that there would be a 2-acre minimum, but that was not part of the applicant's request, so it has been removed in the revised resolutions. And that's all I have.
Does any board member have a question or comment pertaining to this item? Mr. Roark?
So we're going from 3 people to 2 people?
Yes, sir.
Now, in this particular case, aren't there more than 2?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir, there are. And in speaking with the applicant, he is amenable to having the 2
I mean, is there a problem
employees
with, is there a
versus
problem with 3? I mean, or is that just a number you guys thought was the 2 thought y'all thought was the best number?
Well, what we did is we looked at some jurisdiction requirements for other jurisdictions, and I spoke with the business license department to kind of see what their feel is, what type of responses they get for home occupations, and we felt that 2 was appropriate. Also, in our code, we allow for hair salons and those home occupations that are providing instruction for students to have up to 2 people on site at one time. So we wanted to kind of stay in consistency with that.
Okay. I'm sorry, I may be brain dead, but is that the Bradford's right there?
Yes,
that we
sir.
met with a while back? Could you come up and just tell the others, because I'm very much in favor of us doing what we talked about doing. I'd like, if you just take a minute and let the others know why we're doing this.
Yes, sir. I have a commercial real estate business. It's primarily management. I don't do any business with the public. It's only managing real estate that I have ownership interest in. It's all commercial real estate. There's no walk-in business. No one pays rent in person. And the reason I want to move from a commercial location that I'm in now to a more residential setting is I have a 27-year-old son that's mentally handicapped. He scatters between 3 and 4 years old. And I'll be as brief as possible. He, since 1998, he's been on large doses of anti-seizure medication. And the neurologist recommended that we bring the medication down. He didn't want him to be on that, something he couldn't be on his entire life. So we did that, and unfortunately, it was suppressing some severe explosive behavior issues with him that are pretty drastic. He has to be restrained physically with his brothers or myself or my wife, and we've hired behavior modification experts to work with him and us and his brothers to try to get things as manageable as possible. In a commercial environment, and he needs to be around family as much as he possibly can. We've been told that by a number of professionals. And he does best with his brothers. In a commercial situation like we have now, a multi-tenant building is just not appropriate. It's not fair to the other tenants, the people below us. When he's having an episode, it can go on it has gone on as long as an hour and a half before. So the idea is that I live just around the corner from this house, this little yellow house. And the idea is that if I could put my commercial real estate business in this little house, one of my sons would live there, and my handicapped son would either spend his time with Paulette and myself at my house or with his brother at that house, and he enjoys doing the shredder. You know, you can put things in a shredder and things like that, act like he's working. I can enclose that little porch. He's blind in one eye, but he loves to watch traffic. He can sit right up. The eye that he does see out of has a corneal opacity. He doesn't see well. That house sits right up on the road. He can watch traffic in that enclosed porch. I could fence it with a very nice fence, like something like Eaglebrook did, so that if he got out of the house, he'd be couldn't get to the street. There's a little swimming pool right beside the house. I could make it a wading pool, 1.5 or 2 foot deep, where there'd be no danger for him. It'd just be a perfect situation for my family, for my son, and it would work fine for my business. 3 employees would be better. I only have 2 now, but this is a pretty desperate real estate economy, and in a normal environment, I would have 3.
And your employees are all family?
Not all. I have
Okay.
2 outside employees right now. But if I visited the neighbors, everybody that I could, a lot of people live way back off the road here, and some people, you couldn't get through their gate, and some people don't live there full time. And none of the neighbors had any problems. I told them I was willing to do whatever they wanted. I was trying to come up with something that would work for my family, work for my son, work for my business, work for the neighborhood. I'm willing to maintain the house at a very high level. It was a foreclosed-on property, and I immediately went in and cleaned it up. And I'm going to spend more money over there renovating the barn behind there and making it look nice. I want it to be something that the neighborhood's proud of. I don't need a sign, no equipment. No one will ever know that there's any business being run out of there. There's a garage on the rear. I can even have the 2 or 3 employees park in a garage. If I need to add on to the garage so they can't see the 3rd car, I don't mind doing that. I'll do whatever makes the neighborhood happy. And the last thing I want to do is cause anybody any problems. Hopefully this will be a great solution for our predicament and something that the neighborhood could be proud of.
Thanks. Madam Chairman, if I can continue.
Mr. Roark.
Brecca and Sherry and I met with them several weeks ago, and it's my contention that this type of situation I think we're going to see a lot more of in the years to come, because we're all getting older, we're all living longer, and even our special needs children are living longer. And I think staff has done a real good job of addressing this, and I think this is the kind of thing that, like I said, obviously want to help these folks, but this is going to come up more and more. And so I think it's probably good maybe that the ZAB did what they did and we were able to look at this in great detail, because I don't think this is going to be an isolated situation in the years to come. And so I'm 100% in favor of what's being recommended here.
Does any other board member have a comment or a question for staff? Rebecca, just out of curiosity, because I know with the new ULDC and all the changes that we've made, it's been hard to acclimate to that after being used to 4 years of the other. Does a conditional use not work in a situation like this versus modifying the ULDC? Can we no longer use conditional uses for individualized situations like this?
Well, that would be a recommendation from the board, but we would have to, because currently there's nothing in the ordinance right now that makes provision for conditional use. So we would have to actually amend the code anyway, just to allow for conditional use to be provided.
Because I know in this situation, of course, I don't think there's a board member that doesn't empathize with the applicant and or with the citizens that's making the request, but what may apply when you amend the ULDC is going to apply to everyone in every situation is not going to be the same.
Absolutely, absolutely, and it's at your all discretion to kind of decide on what the condition, if you would like to have a conditional use or move forward with the recommended condition.
Was that even a discussion at the ZAB meeting?
It was a discussion of whether we could have a conditional use or a variance. But we discovered, among staff and also in the public forum, that a variance, this is not a varianceable type of item per the code. So it would need to be a conditional use to allow for provision for allowing up to additional employees.
Because I know in this situation, that's not something that's going to impact an area, but another type of business may do something totally different to the area.
Absolutely.
Okay. Mr. Holder?
Brad, I just want to clear one thing. This will be, being a home occupation, there will be one son or someone will be a resident of this home. Is that correct? Yes. Okay. Because otherwise it would just be a commercial zone outside, so, okay.
Any other questions? Mr. Staney?
Brad, you do have, how many acres is attached to the property?
It's 3.
3+ acres. So we met that criteria.
Well, that's actually not a criteria of this particular request. It was a typo. As I mentioned earlier, that the minimum is not part of the request, the minimum acreage is, but that is something that you all can impose if if you desire.
Any other questions or comments?
It is, Madam Chair, it is a unity. Not a subdivision, right? Couldn't be.
Yes,
couldn't be
it
looked at.
has to be zoned residential agricultural outside of a subdivision. And anyone who does not meet that requirement for the proposed amendment has to have, the occupation would be limited to just the residents of that home if they do not meet the requirement of being RA outside of a subdivision.
One last comment, Becca, Madam Chair.
Mr. Staney?
Becca, would you, if he ever sold this house, that this would go with him, just like a conditional use, correct?
Yes. Well, a conditional use runs with the property. A home occupation just runs with the property owner.
Okay, so if he ever sold it, it went away. So technically, we're not rezoning the property commercial, nothing like that, correct?
No, sir. No,
Okay.
sir. Because if it came before staff as a rezoning, we wouldn't have the wherewithal to approve the proposed amendment to the future land use map, and that's why we felt that amending the code or conditional use may be a better option.
Okay.
Any other questions or comments?
Madam Chair, I think before it got away in the beginning, Brad, you didn't give your name and address in the beginning.
It's Brad Bradford, 945 Llewellyn Road. Looks great.
Thank you.
Thank you. All right, at this time, because this is an amendment to the ULDC, I'd like to ask if there's anyone here who wishes to speak either in favor or opposition to the citizens' request for amendment. If not, at this time, you have before you a resolution, and there were the change that was mentioned, which is to remove the minimum acreage requirement, and the resolution also to be amended to employ up to 2 persons who work on premises. Is that correct?
Yes, ma'am.
And with those changes being made, if there are no other changes, I will entertain a motion.
Move to approve.
Have a motion to approve by Mr. Roark. Is there a second? Second by Mr. Stamey. All in favor? Motion carries 5-0. Thank you.
Thank you for your time.
Moving on to Public Works, the first item is a resolution requesting award of a bid purchase of concrete drainage pipe, concrete flared-in sections, and concrete head walls. Our presenter is Terry McMickle, Public Works Division Director, Exhibit Number 7. Good morning.
Good morning, Chairman, board members. We do have a request this morning to award an annual contract for reinforced concrete pipe flared-in sections and head walls for our various county roadway projects. This was sent out to 9 vendors. We had 3 vendors responded. After reviewing those, we would like to award to Rinker Materials concrete pipe sizes 15-inch through 60 and in addition to 72. These are all concrete. And then to Foley Concrete Products, the 66 and 84-inch size reinforced concrete pipe. And then to Hanson Pipe and Precast, the concrete head walls. You look on your bid tab, I think that'll be pretty explanatory. Why we broke it up those 3 ways is because those vendors were the cheapest for those items. And I'll be happy to answer any questions you may have.
Mr. Bowman?
I noticed Rinker, and I'm really glad to see them because I know that that's very close and we can get to them real easy when we really need to. Where is Hanson? Are they local or are they?
Commissioner, I'm not sure. I think they're Georgia, but they're not Henry County.
And how much do you normally use 84-inch anyway, really?
We use it probably 2 or 3 times a year in our pipe replacements. We'll come up with an 84-inch size. It's not as often as we use everything else, but
The
occasionally.
15 through the 72 is something we, obviously the 15 and a little bit, a couple of notches up from that, probably use a lot more than any of them don't.
Well, we try not to actually use much of the 15 at all because the small size, it'll have a tendency to stop up with a basketball or something like that. In rare conditions where we just, if we have a real clearance problem or something like that, and we have a small volume of water, we use 15. But 18 through the rest of it is typically what we use. On occasion, we will use some 15.
I'm happy to see, Rinker get it, because they're right here, and if we need something in a hurry, we can go get it. So that's all I have. Thank you.
Any other questions or comments? If not, you have before you a resolution, which is a split bid between Rinker Material, Hanson Pipe and Precast, Foley Products, in the sizes and products indicated in the resolution. I'll entertain a motion. Motion by Mr. Bowman. Is there a second? Second by Mr. Stamey. All in favor? Motion carries 5-0. The next item is a resolution requesting authorization to purchase a used 2004 Mack Granite roll-off truck and 4 roll-off boxes for operation of the Recycle Center, and that's going to be Exhibit number 8.
Mr. Chairman, this is approval here to purchase a used 2004 Mack truck that does have the setup to handle, of course, roll-off boxes. This would include the truck itself and additional, the truck and the 2 boxes for $65,000, 2 other additional boxes at $1,500 each, making the truck and all 4 boxes a total of $68,000. We have had our shop go out and look at this truck and check it out to make sure it's in reasonable working condition or as best we can. Of course, we've talked to the owner of the truck and got a history from there, and we feel like for the amount of equipment that we looked at in the used equipment line, that this is the best buy that we could find that met all of our specifications that we needed in order to do this.
Does any board member have a question or comment pertaining to this item? And Terry, I know there are a number of changes are being made over at the recycling center, and I know that there have been some concerns expressed by citizens about the fact that there was not adequate space to drop off their recyclables, and this is going to help take care of that. Am I correct?
That's correct. These boxes will certainly be used to do that, and then obviously the truck will certainly aid in getting those materials delivered to where they can be reused again, and keeping containers empty and available for citizens to put their recyclables in.
If there are no questions or comments, you have before you a resolution authorizing the purchase of this equipment. I'll entertain a motion. Motion by Mr. Bowman, second by Mr. Roark. All in favor? The motion carries 4-0. Mr. Holder?
I know we're focused on this roll-off being for the recycling center, and that's understandable, and that's the immediate need. But I think that I've had discussions with Mr. McNichol about this and others. We need to look at this type operation or this type equipment being furthered in our county. Let's just take as an example, all of us have wreck sites in our areas, and currently if there's a cleanup project going on, it ties up an operator, a dump truck, a driver, a dump truck, and then, of course, the operator. This would be a situation with roll-offs where you could drop a container, they could fill it up, have one driver running the truck, and then he could shuttle and pick up boxes and get them back. I just think it's something that we need to look at that could be certainly beneficial to other areas of work areas in the county. So I think this is the beginning, and I applaud the staff for looking at it and proceeding in this manner. But I wish we'd go a little step further and see that this could be used many places in our county and be a lot more cost-effective than the way we're doing it.
We certainly, Commissioner, correct, we certainly will intend on using this, even at the DOT when we, if we're building a new road and we're clearing, it's a whole lot faster and more efficient and easier to haul the material and to dump it with a roll-off on our trees and stumps and stuff like that. So we could place these bins out there and have one truck serve it instead of tying up our dump trucks. That really, really hurts us when we're paving or ditching or hauling gravel. So,
well, the primary cost is in the truck itself. The boxes are relatively inexpensive.
In the grand scheme of things, it is really. Okay.
Mr. Bowman?
I wasn't going to bring this up, but are we going to take over the recycling center? Is that our plan?
That's being considered at this time.
It's not a bad plan because I get a lot of negative comments on our recycling center from, I think all of us have at one time or another. So I think it's probably a good idea. I know we'll probably keep it cleaner and putting the roll-offs out there. Like I said, I wasn't going to bring it up because I thought that's what we were looking at, and I'm all for that.
Any other questions or comments? All right. Madam Clerk, if you would, on that vote, that was a 4-0, if you would make note that Mr. Basler was absent for the vote. The next item is a resolution requesting approval of an agreement and budget amendment regarding the eastbound right turn lane on Bill Gardner Parkway, and that's going to be Exhibit number 9 in your book.
We have been to the board before with this agreement back in 2009, and this agreement then stipulated that Shy Investments 1 would initially front the $300,000 to pay for that right turn lane that goes from the northbound exit ramp onto Tanger Boulevard. The building of that lane, he would front all the money for that. Then the county and the city would each pay their appropriate $100,000 each, which was actually this past summer, I believe. That money at that time never was put up, so we've now done a new agreement, and this is the agreement that's before you now, in which the county will put up its $100,000, city puts up their $100,000, and Shy Investments will contribute theirs. And this agreement spells out all those conditions of where his will come from. Shy has currently put up a third of his $100,000, so he's put up the $33,333.66 or 7 cents. In addition, the additional $67,000, and then the change will come here by November the 17th, I believe, at which time then all the money will be in place to do this. So this agreement now brings us up to date and allows us to go ahead and build that right turn. The reason this right turn lane is so critical that the city, they're building a Walmart at the intersection of Bill Gardner Parkway and Tanger. On the north side of the roadway where there was a Zaxby's, the main entrance going into Walmart will be served on that fourth leg of that intersection. In order for that intersection to perform properly, which is right now it's just about maxed out. When I say maxed out, there's no available free time. All the traffic coming from the interstate, from the ramps especially, by the time it handles that traffic and then serves the Tanger Mall traffic or the traffic coming out of Tanger, the cycles are as such where they're about maxed out. Very little time right now on that signal is allocated to the Zaxby side. When Walmart comes into that location, it's certainly going to require a lot more signal timing on the north side. In order to do that, the signal had to be optimized. In order for that to accomplish, we had to add this right turn lane, which will by far reduce the queue coming from the interstate and will allow the signal timing, some of the timing, to be allocated to the Walmart access. So what we would ask the board to do is to approve this agreement, and it's a budget transfer to allow the budget transfer of the county's $100,000. And I'd be happy to answer any questions that you may have on this one.
Well, I know that it would take a miracle. There's no way this is going to happen before Thanksgiving, is there?
I can help you with it. No.
We'll always try to do our best, but you know, all the money's not supposed to get here until in the county's escrow account or into Mike Bush's well and capable hands until about the 17th of November. So when all of that gets here, then we certainly can put it out for bid. This will have to go out for public bid, which time we'll have to bid it out for the 3 or 4 weeks. Then we'll have to bring that bid back to the board for approval. Then they'll have to turn in their bid bonds, just like every other contract that we have. So time is of essence, though. The sooner you start, the sooner you finish. So we would like to go ahead and get this done. In addition, in talking with the county attorney last night, we would like to modify the resolution under the now, therefore be it resolved. It should now, we would like to add this statement to the very end of that, subject to Shy Investments first executing the same. We want to make sure that Mr. Shalendra signs the resolution to make sure he's in total agreement with that, obviously before the board. If he's not in agreement with it, then the chairman's signature really doesn't help us a whole lot. So we will certainly make sure that he is in agreement with this before we proceed on with it. And I should give this to the clerk.
Ms. County Attorney, you had a comment?
The board to know that Mr. Shalendra has had a copy of the agreement for several weeks and has been involved as we have been working with Tim Young with the City of Locust Grove, Don McKenzie, and City Attorney Andy Welch in getting this agreement in a form that was acceptable to all parties. But we just wanted to make certain that Mr. Shalendra does sign this before either entity obligates itself. The City of Locust Grove will be voting on this same agreement this evening at its meeting, and they will have the same qualification in its resolution.
Mr. Holder?
Madam Chair, I'd just like to, for the record, to show you that this agreement started in January of '09, as Mr. McMichael had stated. Walmart is scheduled to open in March of next year. And I'm sure that we will get hammered and criticized by not being ready. It is November of 2010, and we still don't have all the funding in place. So if any blame is cast, I think we need to look at the people who are actually needing the improvement. I've been with Mr. McMichael on several meetings with City of Locust Grove, Shy Investments, GDOT, and everybody was aware of the urgency of this. And it's come down to the 11th hour. And I guess I can't pass up the opportunity. You see who the players in this project are. Henry County, City of Locust Grove, private developer. Ladies and gentlemen, this is an exit ramp to I-75. GDOT was in those meetings, and GDOT brought zero to the table, other than the fact that they said, well, we might be able to help you with some design or something there, but as far as dollars, none. So I can't pass up that opportunity. That's an interstate highway, but we get zero. This is funded locally, and I love public-private partnerships so that the private sector can participate. But this is City of Locust Grove, Henry County, and the private developer. Nothing from the state of feds, and that is a federal highway. But the main thing is the fact that this 11th hour change in the agreement is not the making of our own. We were prepared a year ago to make this, and obviously we passed it. So if we start to get a lot of repercussions, it's not the county or the City of Locust Grove's problem. is a problem for the people in Locust Grove with the traffic problem, but it's not as far as the administration is concerned. Thank you.
Any other questions or comments? All right, if not, you have before you a resolution which is authorizing the approval of the cost-sharing agreement and budget transfer, also the addition of the subject to under the therefore be it resolved that was mentioned by Terry just a few moments ago, and we'll entertain a motion.
Move to approve the amended version, Madam Chair.
Have a motion by Mr. Holder, a second by Mr. Bowman. All in favor? Motion carries 4-0.
Thank you,
Thank you. Please make a note that we have lost Mr. Stamey. I'm getting concerned about this side of the desk.
They're not too stable, are they?
No, they're not. Did anyone sign up for public comment? All right, Mr. County Manager, anything for public comment?
No, ma'am.
Ms. County Attorney?
No, ma'am.
The upcoming meetings and events, Thursday, November the 11th, all county offices will be closed in observance of Veterans Day. Again, we do have a service scheduled at the Veterans Wall of Honor at Heritage Park, and that information is on the website. Of course, today is also Election Day. You can vote until 7 p.m. tonight, but you must vote in your precinct today. A lot of people get confused with early voting and think that you can vote anywhere, and not today. You must vote in your local precinct. Monday, November 15th at 9 a.m. we have a regular board meeting. Tuesday, November 16th, we have a 6:30 p.m. board meeting. Thursday, November 25th, Friday, November 26th, all county offices will be closed in observance of the Thanksgiving holiday. If there's no further business to come before the board, I'll entertain a motion to adjourn. Motion to adjourn by Mr. Basler, second by Mr. Roark. All in favor? Motion carries 4-0. We stand adjourned.